All right, so today's episode, we're going to start off differently. We have to talk about what's going on right now. I have a reason for this right here, and I'm going to get to it. But right now, we have something bigger going on in our world. We're watching our police force crumble. We're watching as something that we're supposed to take as security, something we're supposed to trust unconditionally, is showing us that we can't do it. It's not in the cards for us. Right now, we're watching police go up to protest and just throw bullets and haze. I know people personally that I've just heard about that they went to one of the protests near one of my cities. And the police, and this was a peaceful protest, just started shooting tear gas into it and the rubber bullets. We're seeing people get pelted. The reporters that have lost their eyes, that don't have vision. The poor 19-year-old kid who got shot straight in the fucking head with the rubber bullet. That can cause brain damage. And I understand that kid was throwing rocks, but are you joking? You could have pushed him, you could have cold cocked him, anything but something that can cause real brain damage and permanent damage like that poor reporter. And this is all happening because we're watching it crumble. We have a president who loves watching the madness. He's scared, but he's watching the madness. Now, let's go into another facet of this, which is the one that we're all very disheartened about. George Floyd. Rest in peace. Fuck. We've all seen the video. We've all seen the pain. We've all watched him take his last breath. We've all watched him get arrested peacefully, but they're trying to make it out like into the soul. We saw the cop who did it to him. He looks like an inbred Cletus motherfucker, and his wife left him. That's like a start, right? I guess he got fired, but that's not enough. He has to go to jail. So I don't want to get too steamed on this, and I know I don't want to bitch about the president. I know that I have my own negative views of that, whatever, but right now is a terrifying time because we don't know what's going to come from it. There could be a civil war. There could be a nationwide protest, a nationwide war. Who knows right now? And this is what makes it scary. So like many of you, I'm trying to find ways to, of course, I see the news every day, but I'm trying to kind of distance myself from it, not to forget, not to run, but because I have to live my life until I know what to do, because we don't have any answers right now. It's all completely open-ended. So the thing that I do best when I'm under stress is I just get self-absorbed and try to understand myself better. And that's what today's episode's about. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Rest in peace, any of the protesters, any of the previous clients, ones that, what's the word I'm looking for? Victims. Any of the previous victims who have had to deal with these injustices, to where some people don't think it's a big deal, but they're the ones blind who don't have to deal with it. Others have to be scared. Others are forced into it, and there's nothing they can do about it. So I hope today can be kind of constructive in the video I'm making, which is about the DISC behavioral assessment tool. Not like Myers-Briggs, where Myers-Briggs is kind of based on guesswork, really understanding yourself and asking others for help, where you can't take a test. It doesn't do shit. Where DISC is about tests. DISC is something used in companies to help them evaluate their employees and, pick where they fit best and what role is best for them, because it is a behavioral tool, as in how you act. And it also helps explain your natural style of acting and your adaptive style, which is when you're around people you don't know, or you're at work, and it's just kind of how you act to fit in, assimilate. And so the protests are brutal right now, and this is what I've been looking at. I did my graph, and it's been helping me move forward, and I can only work on my life until I know what better to do. So let's get into what DISC is. First things first, I am not a professional on this. I just got my test. I'm understanding myself from it, and I'm learning the system itself now. But I did want to give everybody an introduction to what it is and what it kind of stands for and what it means. And then I am also going to tell you where I took my test, someone I know that I can get you for cheap, that, for $50, they'll get you a test, explain it to you in simple terms so you don't get confused, don't get left behind. And at the end, you're going to know yourself in a phenomenal way, in ways you weren't expecting, to the point that you see these answers come at you and you can't fight them, because it means you're really trying to lie to yourself to the deepest core, in which case you're going to know you're unhealthy. And the person I know that'll help you do this, they'll see through it. They'll see through your shit and help you see some clarity. So let's go through it, and then I'll explain that at the end. My first 3 bullet points on this, which, by the way, DISC is spread up of 4 letters, D-I-S-C. So if I get any of this wrong, I'm sorry, I am a beginner, but the simple intro steps are the best ones to understand. First things first, everyone has a combination of all 4. Just like Myers-Briggs, where it's made up of the Jungian functions, you're going to have a feeling function, a thinking function, a sensing function, and an intuitive function. Whereas this one, you're going to have a DISC. You're going to have a percentage, because it is percentage-based technically, as in some have more D than others, some have more I than others, some have more S than others, some have more C than others. And it comes out, if you look at it as a bar graph, you're going to just see ones that are higher and lower than the rest. And these all create the diversity out the wazoo in this thing, because just like Myers-Briggs, there's more to learn. And with this, it really shows it, because let's face it, if you have 54D to 24I, that's much different than someone that's going to have 82I and like 2D. 2D. But it's going to be completely different, especially with the S and C mixed in. This is what makes it interesting. And by the way, at the end, when I give these resources, feel free to go check it out. Check out the person who I took their test from and the resources they have to help explain it better. This is just me getting you into it. So let's start with it. There is D. D is, I call it dominance. It really is the anger trait. And what it means primarily is the C's big picture. The higher the D, the higher your goals are usually, and you're more goal driven and you're more aggressive about it. You're using that anger to get there. So you're looking at the bigger picture down the road, the higher the D is. And whatever that picture is, the bigger picture is completely dependent upon the person. So it just depends on their goals, but they're more likely to reach it, which means if they're more aggressive and willing to step on stones or step on people, really, they're not going to be that emotionally attached or cautious. And I'll explain that in a second. They can be blunt, hence the aggression. They're just going to be straight to the point. They don't need to take your shit. They're going to tell you what they feel because they're looking to get to the next step. They're not looking to hang here for long. And that's all depends on higher D. I'll explain that at the end of it. Accepts challenges, as in they love the challenge, because the challenge means that's progress. Because if they take the challenge and beat it, then they're moving forward. If they fail, whatever, reassess and keep moving forward. Straight to the point, as in, come on, we gotta go fast. Get me to the point. I gotta keep moving. So what does this mean if you looked at a D scale of 0D to 100D? 100D is an animal. They're straight up just ferocious. They're gonna get what they want. A good example would be like Joe Rogan. Sure, he seems calm on the podcast, but you know him being a fighter and where he's come from life, he's a dominant force. Steve Jobs had a lot of D. That's the reason, people saw him as a really shitty person, is because he was so dominant, and it made other people intimidated because they thought he was just an emotionless dick. And he kind of was, but that's just high D. Or someone with no D is extremely passive, kind of cowers in their shell. They never really get anything done. They're non-confrontational. And it's bad. In which case it's something you have to work on. And the thing is, you can improve your disc graph over time, but just the behavioral one. And it's not like it's going to move a shit ton. You're never going to go from 0D to 80D. Now, life is a mystery, so who knows? It could technically happen. Who knows? But in theory and logically, no. You could go from like 20 to maybe a 30, 40, 50, and hopefully that works out like that, but not necessarily. So you can improve it, but just don't expect a shit ton. Okay, this goes into I, which is individualistic. This is someone who, the higher the I, the more delicate the flower. Like, they want to be the shiniest penny in the bunch. You know what I'm saying? So, shows enthusiasm. Usually very high I is very up and fleeting and optimistic and looking towards the future. They're more expressive usually. They're optimistic. What does that mean? Same thing with enthusiastic. They're optimistic. They're looking towards the brighter side of life. They don't want to be negative. Likes to collaborate. The higher the I, the better they connect with people usually. And that means if they connect with people, they like talking, which means they want to talk and show off. Dislikes being ignored. Once again, if you are a talker, one thing that you cannot stand is being ignored. So if you have high I, you need it. So what does this mean in the grand spectrum of things? A high I, like let's say 100I, is going to be off the charts noticeable. They're going to need everyone's attention. They're going to be a show stealer. They're going to be the person who's not really worried about looking like a fool in front of everybody. They want to make them laugh. They want to be the party stealer, the showstopper, the grand finale. They want it all. They want to be the big cheese, and they want you to know it. They want to be flashy about it, but they're also good at connecting with others. And so this could mean that high I's, and this is not always true, are better when it comes to collaborating because they don't mind getting the help, where a heavy D is only not getting help to collaborate, but just because they need you to help them. They're just using you. So, no I, they don't need to be the delicate flower. They don't need to be the shiny penny. They don't need any of that. They're fine just being where they're at. And so they would also probably be negative, pessimistic. They wouldn't mind being ignored because they're more in their own space anyways. And they would not be enthusiastic, probably a little bit more down and dry. So let's move on to S. I say steadiness, and I'm sorry, like I said, I'm not pro. Give me time. Doesn't like to be rushed. So the higher the S, the longer it takes for them to learn something or achieve something or perfect something. Calm demeanor. Higher S, more calm, more easygoing. Calm approach. What does this mean? They're calm. They're not going in head, balls deep, okay? They're not going in head first. They're thinking about it. They're going to take their time as they approach this. Supportive actions. Now, this means that if they are calm, they're not needing to be the showstopper, they're taking their time. That means they don't mind taking time out of that time to help you. So, what would this mean for someone with high S? Exactly this. A very calm, supportive person who's going to help you and going to be pretty cautious in a way. Not like cautious as fearful, but they're going to take their time to really get the right thing done. Or someone with no S, no steadiness, they're not going to be calm. They're going to be action-oriented, dominant. They're going to be head-first, reckless, and not give a shit and probably make a lot of mistakes along the way. So when you say doesn't like to be rushed, they take it as a challenge. Usually high D doesn't have a lot of S. And that, once again, so low S would be low support. It's all about them, self-centered. Like on my graph, my S is pretty down the middle, which makes sense. I'm a little slow in my life. I'm trying to figure myself out. I don't mind helping others, but at the same time, I'm really reckless on a lot of my actions. It's the reason I try so many things. So let's move on to C, which is conscientiousness. Now, this is also based on fear. So they enjoy independence the higher the C. So lower the C, the more likely they are to be higher I. Objective reasoning, as in more analytical. They need you to really justify the means. Don't just give me a fabricated answer, give me the truth. Wants details. Simple enough. They want the details. They want all of it. They want to know everything about it before they jump in. Fears being wrong. So once again, goes into wants details. They need all the information so they can process it correctly and give everyone, whoever they're presenting this to, a uniformed answer, a unified answer, whatever you want to go with. So that's a high C. A high C, analytical, independent, takes a lot of time to get something done because they don't want to be wrong and they have to go over it over and over. Where low C is no fear, where basically if you're like, hey, dude, I think you'd be a great artist, they're immediately going to go apply for a job as an artist before even practicing drawing. They don't give a shit. They don't need the details. They're fine. They're going to figure it out along the way. So how would this correlate and this is kind of where we'll stop the episode because I've told you about each letter. How would this correlate on a graph? I'm going to tell you kind of what my graph stated. I am a pretty decent D. I'm middle of the road. I'm 53 D. My I is up there. I think it's like 60, 70. My S it's about 45, I think, something like that. And my C, I think my C was at like 34. So what does this mean for me? It means I'm a doer. I'm going to go try many things. And it's the reason I'm doing the podcast and shit and my YouTube channel and just trying all these things because I'm doing it for me, but my D is not heavy enough to where I'm trampling over people. This is for me, but I don't mind helping others. This is why it's 53D and like 45S, is because I am steady. I'm kind of grounded. I'm okay with where I'm at, but I want more. So I have enough D to make it happen, which is that anger, that drive. But I also don't mind helping others and standing back and letting others take charge because I want to help them too. I don't like being alone. This goes into my I being so high. I'm very talkative. I'm good with other people, and I like to collaborate. I like to join in. I like not feeling alone, and I do like being that shiny penny. What does the C mean? My low C? Well, it means that I'm a little fearful. I kind of think through my actions, but I'm still going to jump. Like I'm down for building my wings as I fall. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what that low C would mean. So I'm a little fearful. I kind of take the time to understand stuff, but I'm also just going to spew bullshit until I figure it out myself anyways. So this, once again, is just a very rough breakdown of DISC. And the reason I say this, Steven Sizzler, and I'm going to link his YouTube channel in the comments. I'm going to link his website. And then Steven Sizzler did my DISC graph. Not him personally, but that's what I'm going to explain in a second. He did, I used his system of DISC, like his tool, his test to do mine, and is the most informative one on the market. I guarantee you. I've looked around because I wanted to see. And no, his is the most informative. It's a 3-part test, super simple. It's just real basic. You can't fuck it up because it's all based on who you are. So easy to take. And then what you do after you take it, you can go read your results, and the results will show you who you are. But it is kind of confusing on first glance. This is where you have to hire somebody to explain it to you, read it to you, make the connections for you. So that way you can look at the data and they can read to you like a book who you are. And this will help you understand where you need to be. It's the best test, I promise you. And this is on Steven Sizzler. And so I'm, like I said, I'm going to give you a link to the website, give you a link to his YouTube channel. And this is where I'm learning all my stuff from. Now, one of his family members did my test for me and explained it to me. They're a close friend of mine, but very smart, very eloquent, very articulate, can help you understand yourself. And they're doing it for cheap right now because they're still learning. So expect a professional experience, but they are learning. So, just roll with it. But here's the difference. The test done by Steven Sizzler is going to be roughly $300. A test by someone else could be $150 to $300 to $1,000. It all depends on the person. So if you want the best test right now, you can do it from Brent for, which is my buddy's name, Brent, for $50. That's $50. Get you the test, take it, and then he'll explain it to you so you can know who you are better. Simple enough. Don't be scared. I promise you, you can't be scared. You're going to see the test if you take it the right way. And like I said, there's no wrong way. That's the best part. And you're going to be like, holy shit, this is me to a T. It's scary. I got to work on this. Fuck, I suck in this area. Jesus Christ. That's how you're going to treat it. And it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's data about you to your face. You can't miss it. So I'm going to link it in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. For anybody who's listening to this as a podcast, I am sorry. You can look at the video. I'll link it in the podcast description for safety. But other than that, you don't really need the video. You seem to know DISC and what they stand for. And then I'm going to link in the podcast description as well, because I'm now doing this as a double. I'm going to link, same thing, the website, the YouTube channel. And then on top of that, if you want my buddy to do your test for you, and I know buddy doesn't come off as whatever, but he's perfect for it, and it's cheap, and it'll get you the results you need, $50. DM me either here on YouTube or using my email, chattypattiespodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get to you there. Other than that, hey, thanks for listening, everybody.